Okay, hello M3. I hope you're well. I hope you had a good break. So we're going to do a recap on the gradient of a straight line. We did quite a bit on this on the last week of term. If I just go into Microsoft Teams, you can see here, this is your section, M3 RCU Maths. We've got general, which is just information and things. We've also got math chat. This is all the lessons of that last week of term, from the Tuesday all the way up to the Friday. So it's your responsibility, remember, to go and have a look at these. And I can, of course, see if you have or not. That was the Tuesday lesson. I think it was the Wednesday lesson, then the next. And then the Thursday lesson, and then the Friday lesson. And the Thursday and Friday lessons were the ones that were actually the virtual learning days when school was not in. So please make sure you go and have a look at those. We're going to do a recap though, however, today. And it's on the gradient of a straight line. So I'm going to just give you some information, and then I'm going to give you some questions at the end, okay? So I'll be able to see whether you've listened and taken some notes. So the gradient. Actually, you know what? The formula for the gradient, sorry, the formula for the equation of any straight line is given by y equals mx plus c. So remember, we said this is the equation for any straight line. We said that m is the it stands for the gradient, and c stands for the y-intercept. And m and c are just numbers. So for example, if I was to write out an equation of a straight line, let's say y equals 3x plus 2. Okay, well, what is the gradient of this line? Well, the gradient is the number in front of the x. So what's the number in front of the x? It is 3. What about the y-intercept? What is the y-intercept of this line? Well, the y-intercept is just a number that is by itself, which is 2. Okay, if I do maybe one more, let's say y equals 1 over 2x minus 3. In this case, what is the gradient? Well, it's the number in front of the x, which is a half. And what is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is the number by itself, which is, okay, the number by itself here is actually negative 3. Okay, so pause the video if you need to kind of make any notes. What actually is the gradient? What does the gradient tell us? Or sorry, what does the gradient tell us? The gradient tells us how steep the line is. Okay, it tells us how steep the line is. And what about if the gradient if I do a line which slopes upwards? So for example, a line that slopes upwards has a positive gradient. and a line which slopes downwards. So a line which slopes downwards has a negative gradient. Okay, so a line which slopes upwards has a positive gradient, a line which slopes downwards has a negative gradient. Okay, so line slopes upwards, positive gradient, line that slopes downwards, negative gradient. Gradient, we use the letter M to describe it, and the other letter is called the y-intercept, okay? And remember, those are just numbers. So the gradient tells us how steep the line is. And we work out the gradient. Now there's two ways. Okay, so the first way is if you're given a straight line on a graph, your gradient is equal to vertical divided by horizontal. So we talked about this before. What you do is you pick 2 points on your straight line. So I'm going to pick this one. And you draw down, and you want to make it into a triangle. So I'm going to draw all the way down. Sorry, that's a bit difficult to see. And I'm going to go from this point all the way across. Okay. So we've got our line. It goes from here all the way down, and then all the way across. And it's making a right angle triangle. So our vertical distance is the distance from here all the way down. So what is this distance? What is the distance from here all the way down? Okay, let's have a look. We're going from here, so that's 1 unit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh, and a half. Okay. So let's just count that again to make sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half. The vertical distance is 6.5. Okay, now you have to make sure that you are looking at what the units are going up in. Okay, every little square here is worth half a unit. So 2 squares is worth 1 full unit. So just to count up again, 2 squares is 1 unit, 2 units, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half. Okay, so I'm going from 5 to 5.5. Okay, 5 in between 5 and 6. The horizontal distance, I am starting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and another half. So 6.5 divided by 5.5. So what I can do then is, I can put this into my calculator. 6.5 divided by 5.5 is equal to 1.18, and we're going to change this into let's change it into a fraction. So that is 13 over 11. Okay, and remember we talked about how you use your calculator. Okay, remember we talked about how you use your calculator to change from fractions into decimals and vice versa. So this is 1.18181818. So that's recurring. So I could, if I wanted to write it as just as a decimal, I could write it as 1.18, and the 1/8 part is recurring. So I put a line over the top. So either of those would be okay. Okay, and the kind of final bit that we did before we broke up on the break was to find the gradient between 2 points. So let's imagine we're going to find the gradient between the point A, which let's say is 3.5, 5.5, and point B, which has coordinates -2, -1. Okay, and the first thing that we said that we do is we label our coordinates. So what comes first in the alphabet? X. So this is x1, and this one is y1. We call the second coordinate x2 and y2. And the formula that we use for gradient is y2 take away y1 divided by m2, is divided by x2 take away x1. And we put our numbers into the formula. So what is y2? y2 is -1. We're going to subtract off y1, which is 5.5. We're going to divide all of that by x2, which is -2. And we're going to subtract off x1, which is 3.5. And then we can put this into our calculator. And we can do it all in one go. We can use brackets. So I've got -1 take away 5.5, close brackets. And I just realized I did put the dot in, there we go. 5.5, and that's divided by brackets -2 take away 3.5 and close brackets, and we get 1.18 recurring. Okay, so those are the same points that we actually used for the last one, but that's how you do it if you're just given the points. Okay, you label them x1, y1, x2, y2, then you put them into the formula. Okay, you just substitute them in, which is you should be used to. Okay, so now we're going to have some questions. You can go back in the video if you want, have a look at it, and hopefully you've been taking notes. But here are some questions that I want you to have a go at. Okay, the first question is, the equation of a straight line is given by, and what I want you to do is to type in your answer, please, and I'll give you a clue. It begins with y equals. Okay, the next question, what do the letters M and C represent? So that was, what do the letters M and C represent? Alright, question 3. What does the gradient tell us about a straight line? Alright, question 4. A straight line which slopes upwards has a what gradient? Okay, so type in your answer just in the box. Alright, question 5. A straight line which slopes downwards has a what gradient? Again, fill in the box. Okay, for this one, number 6, using M equals vertical over horizontal, find the gradient of the line shown. So just as a bit of a clue, you're going to make this into a triangle, and then you're going to find out the vertical, the horizontal, and divide them. Okay, so question 7, find the gradient of the line which goes through the points 2, 4, and B, 12, 8. Okay, so you're going to have to use your formula just to help you out. Your formula, remember, is M equals y2 take away y1 over x2 take away x1. So you're going to have to label these points. Okay, remember, x comes first in the alphabet. Alright, and the last question, find the gradient of the line which goes through the points A, -1, 4, and B, 12, -8. So same thing, using your formula. Okay, write it down, put the numbers in, use your calculator, and type in what you get for your answer. Okay, I will look at those answers. I hope you followed this okay, and I will speak to you all soon. If you've got any questions, any problems, please post online, okay? Post in the groups, sorry, in Teams, and I'll get back to you, okay? Good luck. Bye.